everyone! Baking Chez Moi by Dorie Greenspan has been in my collection for quite a while, but I've never made anything out of it because honestly, look at that picture. I find it really intimidating. Trying to recreate French pastry technique has always felt stressful, and I usually bake to try and relieve stress. But one of the main goals of my channel is to help me get over that intimidation and more fully explore the books that I already own before I go buy new ones. So this time I'm going to try something fairly simple to start and work up to the harder stuff. This week I settled on the Lemon Madeleines. There doesn't seem to be any difficult techniques, and I already have a Madeleine pan, which I either need to use or stop storing. So let's use it today. Come bake with me. I'm going to start with our flour, baking powder, sea salt. And I'm just going to whisk those together so that they're super well combined, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Now we zest one lemon. I'm going to save this lemon to juice later. Add in our sugar. We're going to rub this together with our fingers so that the lemon zest releases all the oils into the sugar. And I do have to say, it smells amazing. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to add in our eggs. We need 2 of them. And of course they're supposed to be at room temperature. Are they? No, of course not. All right, we're going to whisk our egg sugar mixture together until it forms like almost like a heavy cream texture. All right, we're going to call that lighter in color and thicker. So now we're going to add in, what are we adding in? Add in our vanilla. 1 tablespoon of honey. It's about that much. Now we're going to incorporate our dry ingredients. And we're going to fold these just until the dry ingredients disappear. But we want to keep some of the air that we whipped into the eggs. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to add in our warm butter, warm melted butter. I gotta say, 8 tablespoons feels like a lot of butter. Now we're going to add in our milk. Full transparency, this is supposed to be whole milk, but I can't in good conscience buy a whole container of whole milk just for 2 tablespoons, so it's 2%. All right, that's fully incorporated. Now we are going to cover with plastic wrap, and we are going to press it all the way down onto the batter so that it doesn't form a skin. And we're going to let this rest, I believe, in the fridge for 1 hour. And into the fridge it goes. Even though I have a non-stick pan, she recommends brushing the pan molds with butter and then flouring, just like we would for a cake. So we're gonna try that. Hopefully, this will mean none of the Madeleines will stick, because we want these good seashell patterns in them. Oh yeah, this is gonna make a huge mess. I'm gonna go do this over the sink. Okay, finally, they're prepared. All right, I checked my dishers, and this one seems to put in a good amount of the dough. So, and we've got some with too much. So we're gonna scoop it and transfer it to this one that doesn't have enough. Back into the oven, or not the oven, the refrigerator this goes for 1 hour. All right, these have chilled in the refrigerator for 1 hour. Now I'm gonna put them in the oven on a hot baking rack that I have been heating with my oven preheating to 400. All right, here are our Madeleines, and they are beautiful. So now she says I can pry these out. Let's hope that's true. Well, okay, sure. finally got them all out, and they look decent. Now we're gonna let them cool to room temperature, and I'm gonna glaze them. All right, we're gonna make the glaze. So I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar, and she says to pour in the lemon juice just a little at a time, because what I want is like the consistency of like heavy cream. So hopefully that'll help stabilize it. That looks good. Okay, on Madeline's, this is the shell side, and this is the bump side. You can see it's got a little raised here. So she says to dip the bump side in the glaze, and then put it on a cooling rack on top of a baking sheet, so that I'm gonna put it in the oven at a 500-degree oven for, it's like 1 to 3 minutes. Basically, we're just melting the glaze so that it'll go all over the Madeleine. Whoops, that was the wrong side. Okay, well, we're doing the best we can here. All right, into the oven this goes for 1 to 3 minutes.
Here are my final thoughts. These are good, but they're definitely not something you are going to make on a whim. They're basically little cakes with a very nice lemony flavor and a spongy crumb. On the whole, I would recommend trying them if you want to enjoy something with tea or breakfast, but like I said, they're not going to be quick. A few important metrics. Is this recipe worth making at home? With 1 being Oreos, totally not worth making, and 5 being chocolate chip cookies, totally worth making. I'd say this recipe is a 3. If you like lemon cake, you'll like these, but the time commitment does feel a bit much. You also only get 12 Madeleines, which for me is a benefit because I have a small family of 3 and don't need 50 Madeleines. Usually, this is why I recommend friends buy specialty pastries rather than making them. Rarely do you need the huge amount of something that many of the recipes make, so a small amount is perfect. If you do need more though, I don't see any reason why you couldn't double or triple the recipe as needed. Can or should this recipe be made in advance, with 1 being souffle, absolutely not going to keep, and 5 being fruitcake, will literally keep forever? This recipe is a 3. These have the benefit of being great warm, perfect the day they're made, but fully cooled after glazing, and even the next day they're pretty good with tea, holding their flavor and not getting hard, but they're stable enough to dunk. I did try this, and it did work. How hard is this recipe, with 1 being instant pudding and 5 being the multi-layer death by chocolate cake I might make someday? This recipe's a 4. It's not that the techniques are difficult, it's more that the time commitment required. The first rest can be anywhere from 1 hour to 2 days. This does give you some leeway in when you're going to make them, but it absolutely prevents you from making these for breakfast on the spur of the moment. If you have made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload a new video every Friday. And hit that like button if you liked it. If you have a recipe you'd like to see me try, please put it in the comments, and I'll see you next week.